Joining us now is the premier expert on immigration, Todd Bensman, author of Overrun, fellow for the Center for Immigration Studies. He has a brand new piece from the Daily Wire, The Trump Effect 2.0, illegal border crossing set to plummet on one condition. Todd, welcome back to the program. What is the Trump effect in 2016, and is it happening again?
The Trump effect had the effect of it was that just his campaign rhetoric during 2015, 2016 caused illegal immigrants to stay home and shelter in place because he was saying crackdown, big, beautiful border wall, et cetera. So they stayed home. The numbers dropped by 80% almost overnight. And then once he got into office, it really stayed down. But I think that the rhetoric connection to illegal immigrant decision-making is still very strong, and that we are probably in the middle of a second Trump effect right now. We are not seeing the mad rushes that we thought we were going to see before, mainly because you got Tom Homan out there now with a football stadium-sized bullhorn screaming to the world, we're going to deport all of you. We're deporting everybody. Get ready. Don't get comfortable, that sort of thing. And that has a very powerful effect on the receivers, on the receiving end of this. And so I'm hoping that we are going to see this decline and that the end of the mass migration crisis of the last 4 years is almost here.
Yeah, so that's a really important question, Todd, before we proceed. Some people say, oh, that's just rhetoric. Can you give us more detail on how that resonates with an illegal who is illegally domiciling and harboring themselves in America? Those statements, they spread like shockwaves throughout those communities. Is that a fair assessment, Todd Bensman?
Yeah, absolutely. That is the truth. That is what happens. But what we saw, and I point out in the Daily Wire piece today in 2017, that the numbers started to creep back up because they're watching for follow through. They need to see actions behind the rhetoric. They need to see people actually blocked and actually deported. And they're watching on their cell phones. I've never met a migrant that didn't have a cell phone fully connected to the internet and social media and everything else. In 2017, immigrant advocate, open borders people gummed up all of Trump's policies immediately with litigation. So he was unable to implement for many months. It took a long time before he won those cases. And so they started to creep back in because they saw that the action was not matching rhetoric. The thing to watch for in Trump effect 2.0 is that very thing. We saw a piece in the New York Times just last week about how battalions of immigration lawyers in the United States are already mustered to mount a massive legal challenge to every single thing Trump does. So the big question is whether Trump will be able to implement around that. And I think there's a good chance that he will this time, because many of the policies that he's going to put in place are already legally vetted, like remain in Mexico, safe third country, Title 212F. There are things that he can do right away that should, act as follow through. And deportations mean everything. So if they start getting people deported right away, they will be showing up on airport tarmacs in Honduras and whatnot, and making news in Spanish language media. And that's really what does the trick. I think that we're very close to being able to call the great mass migration crisis of 2021 to 2025 over.
That's a remarkable statement. And you kind of said this, Todd, in so many words, but I want to emphasize it. Is self-deportation a realistic thing that will happen of somebody that is, for example, they've been illegally in Las Cruces, New Mexico, deportations are threatened, they might just go back to their country of origin? Is that realistic?
I think that to a limited extent that might work for some of them. people who are promised, look, we'll let you get in line through the legal process if you go voluntarily, but if we have to come and get you, you'll be banned for 10 years or longer from any possibility of coming in legally. So there is some merit to the argument. I don't think it's going to be a large scale, but I think it'll help.
So it's just amazing to me how overnight it's like flipping a switch. We went from America is a pile of money to loot and you could just come in to all of a sudden, oh no, actually we're a country. It's so. Can you just build that out, Todd? We're only 10 days into this, and we're seeing caravans getting broken up, and it shows that it was a lack of the will from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. It was a lack of the will. It wasn't some sort of major crisis they couldn't figure out. It was a lack of the will, or even more sinister, the will to do the opposite. Todd, your thoughts?
Right. This has always been a very simple calculus. When immigrants think that they're going to get in and stay in and work, they're going to drop the 10 grand on smugglers to get in. But if there's a pretty good chance that they're going to get pushed back and blocked, they're not going to do it. So when the Biden campaign, and I mean the campaign, was talking about we're going to let everybody in, we're going to give them this, so, raise your hand for free health care and decriminalizing illegal entry and everything, they all heard that and came running. All they needed to hear was, we're shutting it down. You have Tom Homan out there, talking up a storm about what he's going to do. And I'm telling you, that is, incredibly impactful all by itself. He's going to have to follow through, of course. And I think that they will, to a large extent, be able to follow through enough. But they listen to, they're smart. Immigrants, I spent a lot of time with them. They are smart and savvy. They're making a calculus just like you and I would if we had some job offer in another city or whatever. We're going to make sure that it works financially for us. That's all it ever took. It just takes somebody to say no mas.